can't really do any more on the tree. We will work a little bit on the bridge, finishing up some of the decoration that I've added. I really don't know if he's liking this. And he might even feel that there's like, it's kind of not necessary, the bridge and the walkway and everything. But I think it helps pull the visitor to this area. I mean, this is where the entrance to the laboratory is going to be. And I'm trying my best to kind of direct the visitor to there. So, you know, I'm bringing their attention to this, telling them this is a significant thing. And just like with the flower, there's not going to be a bunch of them here. It's just a single one. And that's to help draw attention to the door here. That's my thinking anyway. Other people might have other ideas of how they want to point in. I just told him it would kind of clash with the whole look of it if we had like a neon sign pointing, you know, here's the entrance to the secret lab or whatever. And I just didn't want to go that route. I'm more into the kind of the subtle. I mean, I'm kind of giving clues, but it's a very easy way of doing it. You know, not pushing it, just saying, hey, you want me to pay attention here, and kind of going with that. So the bridge decorations, I wanted something, I thought about using lights, but for the amount that I wanted to use, I thought that would be kind of impractical. Okay. Anywho, I figured it would be impractical to try and use lights to light this up. Granted, I know I'm probably going to want some kind of lighting somewhere, because when it's dark, it does get kind of hard to see everything. But I think a lot of that will depend on if he sticks with the default sky or if he goes with a darker kind of sky. If it goes with the darker one, I will probably opt to use some kind of spotlighting to kind of really showcase the tree. As well, I will probably add a few lights to kind of light the path, a little walkway here. But I kind of steering clear of that for now until he settles on what sky and types of changes he might want to do. Now I know once free to play comes, he does plan to change the ground to I think it's celestial, because it's a lot more flowery, I guess. But for now, I'm just keeping that. I don't know. That's my son. He's. Hold on a second. He's only got half a day of school today, so he's trying to make sure that we don't go to the store to get something for lunch and dinner tonight until he gets home, because he wants to help pick out what we're going to eat. Anywho, sorry for the interruption. What was I talking about? Anyway, I'm trying to keep the decoration kind of simple. I know I say that, and then it's got this complex little bridge here, but I don't want to get too fancy. I mean, as it is with all the stuff we've used, oh, for crying out loud, we've only used about a little over 300 items, which is pretty. Oops. Oh. Anywho, now I lost my train of thought again. So yeah, let's just, work on the bridge. Get busy on the bridge here. Just move this off a little bit. So basically, all the bridge and the walkway is just square panes of glass, and I've tweaked and fiddled with them to get a curve going, and then to do the circle pattern. The way I got the pattern to set up was I just picked an angle, and I didn't do any calculator or anything. I just picked an angle and started laying them out, changing the angle by a small fraction and keeping it the same all around, to avoid a lot of the texture flashing that you sometimes get when you have items directly overlapping each other. You'll see that I've alternated the height of them. Did. Acts like it's changed again, but it was like I just offset them by like 0.01 for the most part, to keep it so that it didn't go flashy on me all the time. So it gives you kind of that nice little, I don't know, stained glass effect where it's overlapped in parts. And I don't know, it's just a pattern I decided to pick. I'm keeping with a lot of circles and curves in the whole overall build, especially in the interior, so I figured to kind of mirror that up here would be nice. Again, I don't know if he's completely happy with it. He says he is at points, but I think he's more excited about what's going on in the bunker house than he is with what's going on out here. As for the little baubles here, those are just tall files. I've got 3 of them for these particular ones to give it that kind of like little tiered effect. It's 3 of these and just reduced in size and overlapping each other. I opted to do the big one on top and have it tiered down to the beam here, whatever it is. You could do it the opposite if you want. If you want the little one on top, that would work too, just as easily. But I just, I started off with these and I thought, well, I want to kind of make it look a little different, so I just kind of dressed it up a little extra with going triple. Again, I like working cheap, and this is directly off the housing vendor, so it's not a complicated item to work with. It's just, if you're going to go with this and then you have it all over the place, you got to do it, set it up, the 3 each time on the thing. So what I was doing was I was just basically copying the main one and setting up each row, and then I'll do the smaller ones for each one, and then I'll just copy those and move them straight across to set up the other side. Oh, for crying out loud. Anyway, so it's basically just a lot of copy paste, or copy clone in this case, and then just dragging it over. And mostly this is where you'll see my little errors as far as me eyeballing stuff rather than taking measurements and calculating out like the coordinates and things. You'll see that there's some slight imperfections here and there. It's the same with the construction of the bridge. All of the angles for these little joints and stuff aren't the same. You can clearly see it's like skewed weirdly here and there. But because I've mirrored it the same on both sides, it looks like it's supposed to be that way, hopefully. But yeah, if someone really wants to get persnickety about it, they could nitpick at it and say that just is shoddy construction, but I did my best. I'm not a architect or anything. I just wanted something a little grander than just a straight bridge without anything holding it up. Okay, so basically you clone it, and you zip it over. And I've just been aiming for like to center it along the little gap there, and then just pop it in place. A reminder for those that haven't tried Katya's Builder Toolkit and want to, there's a link on my Twitch channel page in the resources section. I think it's right there on the bottom of that list. It's a very handy tool. I even used the difference in average. That was what I used to make the staircase that we showed earlier. It was like super quick. Once I figured out what I needed to, how to set it up, it was like just a matter of click, 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 and it was all in place. No trouble. I'm thinking about, checking coordinate, to see the height, making sure every step up was the same distance and everything. This thing figures it out for you. Very simple. So again, copy clone. And like I said, if you use the copy clone, which I do a lot, if you have the items in your inventory already, it will use those first. If you run out of things in your inventory and it is purchasable off of the vendor, the housing vendor, it will purchase them for you. That means if it costs renown, you want to be careful because, if you don't really intend to spend an enormous amount of renown, then you want to make sure you don't just copy clone like crazy. Otherwise, you'd be using up all your renown without realizing it. But for things like this, it's like super easy. You don't have to keep constantly opening up the housing vendor and buying in bulk and things like that. Or digging in your crate every time. It's a matter of copy clone, copy clone. If it isn't on the housing vendor and you're trying to purchase it, all it will do is it'll just give you an error. You can't do that. Now, let's see, do I put one here? I guess I do. Okay, so that's the single ones now. Now we have to work on adding in the medium size. So again, it's just copy clone, drag it over, and then the trick of this, well, you can do it one of two ways. You can copy clone it and then, line it up how you want this way, or you could probably just copy clone this one so that it stays centered, and then just remember the size that you have these. So I'll show you that. You can do it this way, and it'll get done just as well. Or you can do it like this. Sizes 89. Just do a copy clone, and then drag it down. Change the size, and there's your smaller one. Now the trick is trying to get them the same look. This one's a little bit more flat, and this one's a little more round. So if you want them all kind of flat or all kind of round, then you want to make sure you've got that the same everywhere. Otherwise, you're gonna have it looking a little weird. So this one, let me just write these down. 122, and the other one was 0.89, I think. Yeah. So I'm just going to do it this way. Copy clone, and then I'll resize and just pull it down until I think it looks like the one next to it. And then do the same here. Like so. And you just do that for all of them, you know. If you don't want those extras, don't use those extras. If you want to use something else, if you want to use lanterns or lamps or candles even, you could use candles. Maybe you want to add railing to your bridge rather than using just these little goofy baubles. I just wanted to kind of, I don't know, decorate it a bit. Give it its own personality. I like personalizing stuff where it's not the same as everybody else's. And I figured most people would probably just opt to use the one and not take the time to add in the extra two. And I wanted to do that. Look a little off for some reason. Maybe there is a slight offset or something. Anywho's. So yeah, for anyone just dropping in and wondering why we are not working on the tree, we have run out of flowers for the tree. So what I will do is, once we close up the stream, I will probably get back to earnestly working on farming some more of those up. I'm sure he's online at the moment, so I'm sure he's doing the same thing. He was pretty good at working on that. He's also aiming to get a hold of some other stuff, but I don't think those are going to be so easy to come by. And I'm not going to mention what he's looking for because then whoever puts it on the page will put it at an exorbitant amount of money, and I don't want anyone to take advantage of them wanting those particular items. Kind of like when I was looking for exile chairs. I started talking about, yeah, I'm looking for exile chairs, and like the next day it was like all of them were like plat. You got to pay plat for it. It's like, what? Okay, so just gonna check. Yeah, these just look a little off. I don't know if that's. No, it's not a D-shift thing. I don't know. Might be the way I have it turned or something, and it just kind of comes in a little bit. Or maybe it's just me and I think it's crooked and it really isn't, and I'm making it crooked now. Could be that. That was one of the things that was weird. I was talking to Thove and he was telling me that the reason he wanted to do his house himself, and he's tried in the past, but he says he comes across some kind of weird, I don't know what it is. The way he described it is like he will come into the house and he will see something that is messed up to him, but when it actually isn't, and what he has to do is he has to reload the house to get it to look normal. Because he panicked the other day. He come in and he wanted to change the size of the tank that's in the center of the room downstairs that I've been playing with. And he said, is it all right if I said, yeah, it's your house. Do whatever you want. And so he was playing with the size of the tank downstairs, and then he come back upstairs, and apparently to him, the lake had moved, the little water area had either moved or disappeared or something, and he went into a panic about it and messaged me as like, oh my gosh, I've ruined it. And I was like, he goes, I hope you can fix it. And what happened was it was that little weird glitchiness that he has with, I don't know, the graphics or something loading, rendering improperly for him. And he said that all he had to do was leave the house and then come back and everything was fine. So it was kind of funny. It's sad too because I know he would love to get into this. a little bit more than he's been able to. But so I'm hoping to do a good job so that you know, he has the house that he's always wanted, and he just hasn't been able to do it because it gets cantankerous on him. Okay, so back again with just the copy clone. My favorite tool. I am totally in love with this copy clone. Now I could be more precise and look up like the bit here, but see how both of these change. That's why I suspect that there's a little bit of squirreliness going on with the lining it up, because of somehow that I've got a position that just kind of wigs out. But I'm just going to all this and hope that it's all right. And call it good. Send it back down and just again. For a lot of builders, this would be like a horror to try and do because they really prefer the getting everything lined up precisely. I do that in some respects, but generally, I don't like having to constantly be checking the numbers and stuff. I kind of approach all of my gameplay that way. Like I don't have a threat meter. I don't do a damage meter or anything. Half the time when people are talking about some of the skills when they're trying to like min-max themselves and ruining everything, I ruin my stuff, and I have a sort of um, a, a skill rotation or whatever that I use, but I don't really pay attention to the numbers. This is probably one of the reasons why I don't really stream gameplay in that way, because I think a lot of people would be like, oh my god, how is she even playing that? Because it makes no sense. I often joke to my guildmates that I'm basically a face roll player. I just kind of, or I'm like Homer when he's trying to use the phone. You just big fingers mash keyboard, you know. I don't have any finesse when it comes to playing. Uh, my husband usually thinks I'm typing a big long letter when I'm fighting because I'm just smashing every key around. Because I hate having to watch all the cooldowns, and I don't have, you know, all these add-ons that alert me to when I'm able to do this or that. So I just kind of hit everything and hope something triggers, which is shameful to admit, I'm sure, but that's me. The way I've always played. And I raid that way, amazingly. I know I'm for sure not top DPS or anything, but I think what plays in my favor is I'm fairly good at survivability and following instructions and things like that. So that, while I may not be like the preferred raider, I'm not one that they're going to get rid of simply because I'm not pulling the DPS. Because, you know, you can have the highest DPS and he's like putting out uber damage, but if he's dead, he's not doing anything. You know what I mean? So I may not be doing the uber numbers, but if I'm alive when someone else isn't, at least I'm still contributing. But so thankfully, our raid leader's pretty lenient in that respect. Just like I refuse to think about even remotely considering the possibility of tanking. I could not function if I had that role. But every time I'm in the group and a tank piece drops and no one else wants it because everybody's already gotten there, so we're like, you sure you don't want to carry it? You want to carry it? Sure, you want it? Like, no, 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 no. I have enough trouble trying to keep up with things just as I am. I don't need that other worry. No, thank you. Now, my husband, he plays healers when he does any of his gaming. He doesn't really play WildStar, but if he did, that would be his role, healer. But me, I prefer the DPS. And the up close. I do like being in the middle of stuff. I joke for like WoW. My character is a gnome rogue, and I call myself a leather warrior because I usually go in, guns blazing, so to speak. I just kind of, uh, just waving my little daggers or axes, I guess is what I'm using right now because I'm a combat rogue. Um, but and it was funny because most of my years playing a rogue, I hardly ever, I know it's bad to say, but I hardly ever used stealth. It's not the same now because I use stealth all the time with my stalker. So I've gotten into the habit of using stealth as a rogue as well because I pretty much have my skill setups similar, with the stealth button and everything. I have it all the same for both games, but I was really bad at the beginning. Um, didn't behave like a rogue even though I was a rogue. Oops. I think I forgot to clone it. But it looks squishier. What? Maybe just not be bringing them down far enough. A little better. Anyway, whoops, I backed right off of there. But yeah, I play a rogue in World of Warcraft, and I used to be a clicker player, point and clicked every skill as I wanted to use it. I even rated that way for several years, and didn't have any, major complaints about, oh my God, you're like doing like 2 DPS or something, But, oops, putting in 189 for some reason. I don't know why. But when I started playing WildStar in the beta, I took the leap mainly because my son kept pushing on it, saying you need to learn how to play with keybinds and stuff. And me being the old lady that I am, I figured I wouldn't be able to adapt well to that kind of setup. But I'm happy to say that I have managed to kind of adapt to it. I'm still, like I said, I'm not very interested in crunching numbers, or I don't go and practice on the raid dummy or anything like that. I just I eat my foods, I eat my buffs. I keep hitting 189. I ruin my gear, keep it repaired. I do all of the basic stuff, but I don't like really get into it. And that's enjoyable for me. I don't want to make it feel like it's work. If it becomes like a job, like I'm, feel like I gotta grind every dungeon around just to get specific equipment and everything like that, I think I wouldn't raid at all because it would be a little too demanding. I prefer a casual approach. I did the hardcore, semi-hardcore rating in the past, and that was very draining. I mean, I enjoyed it, and it felt good when we, downed bosses that were, you know, everybody else was still struggling to tackle and everything, but it was very draining. It's just the best way to say it. And when I come to WildStar and changed up, how I play and everything, I said, even though I may be kind of getting a little better at that, I don't want to get into the rating as the main focus. Right now, the guild that I'm in, we raid twice a week, and I go once a week. I told them up front that I didn't want to do multiple nights of that. I'd done that before, and like I said, it was very tiring. And of course, I'm getting up in age, and I don't want to make that a big thing. I prefer goofing around with the housing stuff to anything else. So, and they know that, and they are okay with it. So that's a plus for me. And I said earlier that I only play the DPS, the melee kind of versions. I have tried other classes, both in WoW and in WildStar, and I really feel in that respect I'm kind of like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I just cannot get the hang of some of the other classes. I have a couple of alts that I've got like an engineer and a spell slinger and stuff, but I don't know, I get confused too easy. Some of the skills that they have just kind of throws me off. And it's probably because while I did try different classes and stuff in World of Warcraft, I've primarily played a rogue for like over 8 years now. So I suspect that it's really hard for me to transition to a different type of game style and skills and stuff at this point in time. At least for me, other people can probably play all classes all the time, but for me, I prefer to focus on one character. That's why I don't really have too many alts, and those that I do have are very low level. They're mostly just for housing and stuff. And I just don't think I will ever be comfortable in playing anything other than a rogue-like character. If a game come out and I thought it was really awesome and it didn't have a rogue type of character, I probably would be hesitant about trying it out past that, because just, I don't know, it feels weird. That's all I can say about it. It feels weird. It feels wrong. I think we are getting close to being done with the baubles on the bridge. Thankfully. One thing about eyeballing it, it goes a little quicker than having to constantly check numbers and stuff. I'll probably pay in time later when I'm having to tweak stuff here and there, but for now it looks like I'm just speeding along, zipping it out. Okay, there's your baubles for the bridge. I don't know. It's just something goofy. Again, we're gonna look at it. Do another reload UI. It's starting to kind of again. So if you can kind of picture it without those domes there and just picture it as a full white tree in full bloom there, I think that will be a very pretty uh, centerpiece for this. Probably need a few more down here. Or I may remove this branch to kind of make it more like it's up above. But yeah, I think that's going to work nicely. And the bridge looks all right. Um, let's see, I guess I can just see about sorting out these legs for the walkway here so it doesn't look like it's just floating in the air. You know, being WildStar, you can just pretend, you know, there's magic holding it up, but you know, some kind of force field, you know, maybe that's what the glowing is. It's like, you know, some kind of thing going on, but I don't know, I prefer having something, a solid reason for it to be up there. So let's, yesterday I was having trouble with these copying because it acted like it didn't want to do that for me. And I'm going to turn it just a little bit to kind of be facing the angle. The angle of the little sliver here, but you could probably get away with not doing that if you want. If you said something like this, similar, why anyone would want to do something like this as well, I don't know. But and again, I'm just kind of guessing about where it should be. I told him Thove the other day, yeah, I'm trying to use the stuff that you have in your inventory, and you know, so that we don't crowd your crate with a bunch of extra stuff. But I keep adding little things in like this that you have to buy all the extra bits. Poor guy, because he's got like yeah, we're at 1,700 and 2,000 now. So most of that is, I think he was well under the 1,400 mark, and I've just been piling in the junk, and I'll have to weed it all out later. But I keep, you know, with all this little custom build stuff, it can add up pretty fast. Hopefully he doesn't mind too much. I think as long as he ends up with a home that he's not too embarrassed to go into, he'll be good. Really hard to see. I wish they could make it where you could, the arrows were a little bit more defined or different color or something, because when they're on a colored surface that's similar to the arrow itself, it is really difficult to spot them. Oops, want to pick the water. And, you know, like with any other build, as you do these things, you'll probably tweak it as you go. I'm constantly, every time I come back in, I'll see something that I didn't notice before, and I'll have to tweak it here and there, but that's why I say I always put it in quotes when I say my plot is done, because for me it's never done. There's always something that can be improved upon, modified. Maybe I used umpteen items to create one thing and I figure out a way to do it in half the number of items. That would be like a rework that would be worth messing with. Or maybe some new items come out and I want to find some way to incorporate those into the build. There's always something to tinker with. Of course, in my case, it's usually just scrapping everything and starting from scratch just for the heck of it, which I will be doing sometime soon, probably closer to the end of the month or latter part of the middle, something like that. Basically, I'm just waiting for the Geeks and Nexus judges to make the rounds, and once they're done looking at mine, I'm just going to go boop and read it all. Because I like the build that I have, but I hate to say I've gotten bored with it, but that's kind of the situation. I'm ready for a change, and now you'll notice some of these are floating above the water level, so I'm going to have to add some extras bits. Let's just do that now, or I forget and leave them floating. Don't know for positive. Whoops. It has begun. Doesn't want to let me copy. Anyway, I don't know. I don't have a solid plan in place yet as to what I'm going to build. I know I kind of was thinking about doing something for the holidays, but I don't know. I did the winter toy workshop last year, so I don't really want to repeat that exactly, but that doesn't mean I can't do something else still holiday related. But beyond that, I have no idea what. I had thought about waiting until free-to-play kicks in and then, starting over then. But the more I think about it, the more I'm pretty confident I'm not going to be able to wait that long. Because I've already had the golf course and subway station for several months now, and I'm just anxious to change it up. Of course, having projects like this to kind of keep me distracted helps, so that I'm not immediately ready to get into it. I probably will want to finish this, or at least get pretty close to finishing it before I dive off into my own personal project. The reason I back off is usually if it gives you errors for letting you copy something, it means because it's not like it clones it at the size that you have it. It usually clones it as it naturally would come in, and these usually come in pretty big. So I guess I'm standing too close to it or something. Just so I can get in here and tinker around. Again, this is kind of like the boring part. Not really coming up with any new concept or anything. It's just copy paste, copy paste. But it's a necessary part. It's these little details that you're putting in that will help sell the idea that this is, you know, a raised walkway that's above the water here. Anyway, oops, don't stand too close. So while these little details like this, you know, putting in the little legs and stuff at the table, while it might be monotonous and boring, it's a necessary bit. Anyway, we're almost halfway, I think. Oh, there's so many. And then that's just the exterior. Still got the legs on the inside to do. Woo! Okay. And if there's anyone watching that's wondering what that glowy effect is, that's those medical cot hovering. I've got like half dozen or more hidden underneath the water. They're basically just turned upside down so that the glowy part is all that's showing, and enlarged pretty big so it covers as much of the surface of the water as I can. I could probably squeeze in a few more, but I didn't want to get too crazy with it. Though was kind enough to craft a bunch, but I'm not sure I'll be using all of them out here. There is some water things that I'm going to be doing inside the lab itself, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to utilize them there and not have this crafting go to waste. Okay. Slowly making progress. I'm still standing too close. Try it again. There we go. Now, as for what we plan to do tomorrow, since tomorrow is Wednesday, we will not be working on this project tomorrow, at least not via the stream. I will probably be doing some work off stream thing with later today. Because tomorrow, being Wednesday, is house tours time, so won't be streaming any of this project tomorrow. But if you're interested in checking out the housing tours, you're more than welcome to join in. Looks like this is a little off here. That's just like totally skewed up now, isn't it? I must fix it. Let's see. Don't remember how I turned it before. Gonna see if I can eyeball it in here. Wow, like going all sorts of wonky. Oh my gosh. Try that again. Maybe if I do it with to the world, maybe it'll quit working on me. I think when I moved this, I had linked all the pieces together and moved it. Wow, it's totally wigging out on me. Ah. Let's try that again. So what was that, 90? And I think when I moved it all as one unit, it kind of messed up a few of them, this being one of them, so I don't know how that worked out, right? But I'm not touching any, well, I'm going to touch a little bit. There we go. Leave it alone. Don't mess with it. Anyway, so tomorrow is house tours and it's Dominion's turn. We already have, yeah, I've got a list of 4 names so far. That's part of the thing I've got to do today is I'm scheduled to go house hunting again. Try and find a couple more. I like to have a few backups just in case we have problems with visiting any of them. And have that all in order for tomorrow so that we can have a good set of houses to visit on Dominion side. But whatever I do work on offline for this particular project, I will do like I've been doing the last couple times. I will recap what went on, any troubles I might have had, things that I discovered, that kind of thing. I'm going to do my best not to keep anything, you know, if anyone has any questions about specifics, things that I've put together, or maybe they missed the show that explained it, you know, feel free to ask, whether it be through an in-game mail, on the forums, on Twitch, whatever. Because I'm happy to share my little inklings. I don't subscribe to the school of thought where everything has to be, you know, top secret. That I don't want to share how I've put something together because I don't want people doing it for themselves. My whole purpose of this channel and these streams is to share what I know and how I'm doing it so that others can do it for themselves. While it's not ideal that, you know, they copy it, you know, item for item and everything, at least it's getting them into housing. That would be the main thing. This looks really wide. I think this was the one that kind of was, like I said, I just kind of guessed an angle and it kind of met up and it didn't quite match everything else, so I just kind of had to stick with it. anyway, so yeah, if you have any questions or whatever about whatever I'm building, whether it be this project, another project, future projects, whatever, I'm all ears because, like I said, I'm not out to hide anything from anybody. Just maybe I get sidetracked or forget to mention it or whatever. Even though I try my best to mention all of those kind of things because I know a lot of people. The way I look at it is when I watch a stream, either for a house tour or whatever, I'm always curious about how things are put together, what items they use, and I tend to just guess if they're not explaining what they're using. And I have mailed a few people in game. I'll like come by a house and I'll think, wow, what is that? Or I'll, you know, want to find out some extra information about it. And 90% of the time they don't respond. I don't know if it's because people just have a thing against talking to strangers, or maybe they're just an inactive player and I happen across an old home. I don't know. But it's not a reliable way of finding out. So I don't want folks to feel the same way when they come to my places or watch my stream. I want them to feel like if they come to watch, they will, you know, at least learn about how I'm doing it or what things I'm using or the troubles that I'm having and how I tackled those problems. So yeah, housing stream tomorrow, depending on how far along I get with the house between now and Thursday will determine what we work on then. I am pretty sure Thovane and myself are going to be working pretty good on getting a lot of flowers collected. In fact, he's there now. He's camping at the ice pond on a plot. So he will probably have a good amount of flowers collected for me to use later through the day. So as those come into availability, I will be slapping them on there. I imagine we will probably be working on the interior, setting up the rooms, being more specific about the spaces, what they're going to be used for, and start putting in some of the furniture and stuff. I don't know how much of it I'm going to, custom build. I've already started with a few bits, like I set up a chair and I was playing around with the table yesterday, but I don't know if that will be practical considering the decor count and everything. If I can get away with using things that he already has in his inventory, that would be better, but tougher when, you want a particular piece and it's, not something he has, then I feel obligated to buy it, and then that just means more decor in the crate. And like I said, he's filling up pretty good. We're at not quite 1,800, and there's still lots of pieces to purchase and things like that. So I'm gonna have to behave myself when it comes to the extras. But I do know that for the lab itself, we're going to be trying to use as much, I think it's the Ichthian decor that he's collected a lot of that he would like incorporated into that particular area. We're going to have a lot of, he described his character as a bookworm, so we're going to have a lot of like little reading areas and a library and probably just books strewn here and there that will help sell the idea that his character is constantly with his nose in a book. Oops. Oh, come on. Cooperate with me here. There we go. We're almost at the end of the outer ring. It's getting close. We thought it would never arrive. But it's happening. As well, I'm still undecided on whether or not I'm going to add a kitchen and a bathroom and all of that. He's made it clear that if I want to forego those particular bits, that I could probably just put in some faux doors to represent that that's, you know, leads off to a bathroom or leads off to a kitchen or whatever. I don't know if I want to not cheat, but forego those bits, because the kitchen typically is one of my favorite places to decorate in a house if I'm doing a personal residence, because there's so many little bits and bobs that you can put in that are recognizable as being things meant for that particular room. You got, I mean, you got all the nifty appliances and things like that. It just really helps sell that it's the kitchen and stuff like that. I mean, there's things for the bathroom and then things for the bedroom, but I don't know. The kitchen seems to be, you know, it always cracked me up because, you know, you have the living room, and that's supposed to be where the main household, that's the focal point of the house. But for us, my family, the focal point is really the kitchen, because that's where we come together to cook meals together, and we meet up there most often because, you know, you're having not just your three regular meals, but, you know, generally go in for snacks, and it's the center of the house for us. Um, and even though we have a front door, we have a side door for our terrace, and the kitchen is right there. And so we hardly ever go through the front door. The only time we use the front door is if we have somebody come knocking on the door, visitor or something. So typically we just use the side door as our main entrance. And it's right there at the kitchen. And that's, I don't know, maybe that's why I focus on the kitchen so much, is because for us, that's our focal point. It's where everything happens. You know, if we're talking just in general, you know, yeah, we have our TV nights and stuff like that in the living room, but generally speaking, it's usually just my husband and myself, and the son is in his room playing on the computer or something, or it's vice versa. He'll be watching TV and we're upstairs. But when it comes to the food stuff, we're all in the same place, and it's the kitchen. That's where we're doing our cooking and stuff. And I don't know, it just tends to be my favorite place in the house to decorate. And like I said, while there are certain things, it's going to be like tougher with the lab. You know, people will be wondering, well, is that, you know, what is that? Is that, you know, uh, while we have a couple of pieces like the microscope, the ichthyium microscope, or whatever, if I decide to craft something special, custom built, it might not be recognizable to everybody, because it could be, I don't know, a set of um, petri dishes. Maybe that's what I'm trying to pull it off as, or something. I don't know. But for me, the kitchen is has the most recognizable stuff. At your refrigerator and your toaster and your microwave and the sink and the cabinets and all of that fun stuff. So there we have, after many hours of jibber jabbering, we have the outer legs of the walkway in place. That just leaves the inner ones. And boy, there are a lot of them. Basically the same number as what you got, they're just different spaced. Anyway, I think we'll call it good for today. I honestly don't even know when we started streaming, so I don't know how long we've been at it, but I think we're gonna call it good because it's already getting, well, it's not a little after 11, so I think we started about 9:30, so it's been going on a little while. I will probably finish up the walkway here later today, and if I come across any more flowers, I will probably be working on fleshing out the tree some more, just to kind of get rid of those domes, so that we can better see what we need to put where. And probably finish filling in this. I'm going to try and steer myself clear as best I can for as long as I can, from the downstairs, because I really think that's where we're going to focus mostly on Thursday. But anyway, I hope you've had a fun time checking in this little peek at the latest project. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Mail them in, send them via in-game, in the forum, on Twitch, however you want to contact me. There's various ways. Reminder again, house tours tomorrow. We're going for the Dominion side. Got a few picked out. A couple of them are actually entered into the Geeks of Nexus housing competition, so get to have a first peek at some of those entries. Which reminds me, today is the 1st of September, and that means Friday, the 4th, is the final day that you can enter your house for that competition. So if you're on Jabbit EU, whether you're Exiles or Dominion, now is the time to get that entry in because your time is running out. And after the 4th, the judges will spend the next couple of weeks touring all of the homes. I think they're getting close to 30 entries now because I've seen several being submitted lately. So they're going to have their work cut out for them. It takes a long time to go through and to make sure you get every little detail out. I don't know if they're filming it. I know they're doing a live podcast at the end to announce the winner, but I have no idea if they're doing any kind of filming or anything like that. So if they are, again, it's going to be a real trick to get everything. For those that have entered, remember to open your plots up to the public, because if they can't get in to see your house, you know, they're not going to go around neighboring everybody. They're expecting your house to be open to the public. If it's not and they can't get in, then that pretty much disqualifies you because they can't judge what they can't see. Anyway, that's September 4th. This Friday is your last chance to enter that housing contest. I know they have plans to host more in the future. In fact, they've already got some funds to support that, but I don't know if they're planning anything specifically for, say, they talked briefly about maybe having some themed ones, so they might sneak in one for Shades Eve, or they may wait and hold off until the winter gala or in December. Because, you know, it does take a lot of effort to try and organize these kind of things and to set up people that are willing to act as the judges and all of that kind of thing. It's just time consuming, so it's not something, you know, you can expect to be done like every month or something, but maybe we'll see something pretty soon past this one. But first we got to get through this one. As well, we do have the closed beta ongoing at the moment. A bit of new information though. Currently the closed beta is in phase one, where we're basically testing a lot of things like the starter areas, some of the daily rewards, the new dungeons, and things like that. We're about to go into phase two, as I understand it. They're going to be shutting down the PTR realm. I think it's tomorrow, and then come Thursday, they will be popping it back up, and it will be officially in phase two of the closed beta testing. And what that means is they're looking for people to test the actual real life financial money involvement of purchasing in-coin off of their website or in-game. And you will be credited not only with in-coin that you can use later once free-to-play goes live, you will be credited with PTR in-coin to use as well. They're just wanting to iron out all of the final little bits and bubbles as far as making sure the system is working properly, and all of that. So that means when they shut down the phase one, everything that you've done up until this point on your PTR characters, all the progress you've made, all of the items you've collected, whether it be from Madame Faye's little fortune cookie thing, or items you found through discoveries, or daily rewards you've got, and all of that kind of stuff. All that's going bye-bye. They're just wiping it, and they're going to reboot it on Thursday with the fresh stuff, and try and get as close to what live is going to look like at that moment. And so it should be exciting to see how it looks. If it all goes smoothly, the smoother the better, because that means the sooner we'll actually get to push into going live with the free-to-play. I have heard talk that they're planning on doing an open beta as well. I don't know when or if that will happen, but we shall see. If you'd like to sign up for the closed beta access, there is a link on my Twitch page in the resources section that you can sign up for that. I do happen to have some access to some closed beta testing codes, but they are for NA only. So as I come across those that are interested and would like a code, I would probably be able to supply a few to those. I'm not doing any kind of giveaways, and I'm not really looking for people just to spam me requests or anything like that. I'm just mentioning it because I will be looking to pass those out from time to time. It's not going to be an everyday thing, but we'll see. I will check it out and find out who might be interested in things like that. If I get a chance to get some EU ones as well, I will mention that. But so far, I haven't been able to, which is unfortunate because I think it's mostly EU players that happen to watch my stream. I don't think I get too many NA ones, but you never know. Might have some really night owls out there. Anyway, I appreciate you joining me. I hope you enjoyed what little bit we worked on. I'm really excited about how the white tree is turning out, so that's a big plus. And I will see you hopefully tomorrow with the housing tours. If not, you're welcome to come back on Thursday for more of Project Silverthorn. And hopefully we'll be ready to work on some interior stuff. Until then, have a great day, and see you later. Bye-bye.